Living Dharma abundantly. What we'll be getting into today is how you can do your Dharma, which is a Sanskrit word for purpose. We're going to get more into that in a minute in terms of what it actually means, but simply how you can live doing your purpose in this world in a way that you can support yourself, not just by getting by, but by thriving. In other words, how can you do what you are on this earth to do according to your unique psychophysical nature in such a way that you're going to improve the lives of others while your life being improved in terms of your health, in terms of your wealth, in terms of your mindset, and all the other essential aspects of living. What we're going to be exploring here are different types of practices and tools that you can utilize to immediately get some results in moving in the direction of living Dharma abundantly. You're going to see through and without this training different quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, which is the philosophical textbooks that we're primarily using to base the knowledge that we are going to be sharing today. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the eternal there is no change. What does that mean? Let's get into it. So you can go through a little bit more threadbare, but the primary thing that we're conveying here is the idea that your Dharma, which is the intrinsic nature of something. An example of Dharma would be the Dharma of water is wetness. If it ain't wet, it ain't water. The Dharma of fire is heat and light. If there's not heat and there's not light, it's not fire. We're talking about something else. The Dharma is the intrinsic quality of something. What we're trying to understand here is what is your intrinsic quality? What is your according to your unique psychophysical nature, what is that you ought to be doing? I'm not going to should on you much, but we are going to say, according to your gifts, what should you be doing in this world in such a way that you can actually contribute? And then accordingly, we can figure out how can you survive and some in terms of doing your Dharma. So there are certain truths we're going to be talking about here. A truth is a truth no matter what terminology you give it, no matter what vernacular you use. We're just talking about truth, and there's different ways to express that idea. In terms of relating the Dharma to entrepreneurship, most dharmas, most people's purposes can be monetized. Now, if you are not interested in monetizing your Dharma directly, no problem. You still need to do it abundantly. You still need to figure out a way to support yourself so that you can spend most of your time, or a good deal of your time, doing your Dharma, doing your purpose, doing that work that is natural for you, that again is going to improve the quality of life of other individuals. When we're talking about entrepreneurship, we're primarily talking about the ability to be inventive and creative in bringing to this world unique types of services that can be monetized. And keep in mind, we're going to be basing this content off of what we call the Vedas. Veda literally is just a Sanskrit word that means knowledge. And so we're taking these ancient wisdom literatures from India. They're not exclusive to India. They're relevant truths that can be utilized in any language, in any geographical designation, etc. We're going to be taking knowledge specifically from those Vedas and implementing them in such a ways that you can utilize, again, your unique gifts in such a way that you can survive in this world and some, and ideally you thrive. The world has the habit of making room for the man whose actions show that he knows where he is going. The first step is clarity in knowing the direction you are going. Another quote I like is, never meet the dawn without a map. If you don't know what you're doing tomorrow, the world will give you so many things that will sweep your attention away. We want to be very focused and diligent in knowing where you are going, and that means we have to make a plan. This is a vision exercise. We have a much more robust version of this, which we call the claims, but this is the essential aspect of getting clear of what exactly it is you want to be doing in your life. The first question always ask yourself is, what do you want? What do you want? And that means even acknowledging the things that you want that you don't think you should want, or the things you can't want, or things you're not allowed to want. We want to get in touch with your real desires, because you cannot purify a desire if you do not know what that desire is. I hear it all the time. People are like, I just got to purify that desire. What desire? What desire are you talking about? We can't purify something if we don't know what it is. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is. So we start with always getting clear on what exactly is it that you want. Now, for this exercise, I encourage you to not think small. Like potentially most places in the world, they're going to say, oh, be realistic. Oh, you got to be practical, blah, 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 blah. Start big. You can always pick smaller goals from there, but just go big. Like, what is this life for? There's only a few guarantees in life. One of those is that you have a limited number of days. What do you want to do in this life? Do something grand. Do something incredible. Do something that's going to actually make an impact. Plan according to those desires, not just what you think you can do. Okay? Start with making an idea. We give you these examples of these 4 categories in terms of improving the desires for your health, your desires around your spirit or spiritual practices, around your career or your dharma, and then around your relationships. So make sure that when you are talking about these desires that you have, these wants, make sure they're positive. Instead of saying what you don't want, I want to hear what you do want. Not what you don't want, what you do want. And also be sure that they're specific, okay? Don't just say, I want to make more money. How many people are going to hear, I want to make more money? How much money you want to make? I don't know. I didn't think about it. Why would you make more money if you haven't thought about it? Think about it. Do your due diligence. Figure out how much you need to be sustained and pick that number. Be very specific and make sure it's in the positive. Once you've done that, turn it into a present case communicatable phrase. And so what that means is instead of saying, I want to earn a sustainable income of $100K annually as a life coach, what you actually want to do is say, I earn a sustainable income of $100K annually as a life coach. What we're going to do by claiming it is, and this isn't a fake it till you make it. I don't suggest you just say it and then you say it and then it exists. Don't be delusional. I'm suggesting here that you claim it so that you understand the destination of your desire. Specifically, what that looks like is, what exactly is the destination of what you want? Is this the destination? Probably not. Is the end goal just to earn a sustainable income of $100K annually? Probably isn't. And if it is, think bigger. Like, why do you want to do that? What kind of life do you want to live? Oh, I want 100K so that I can afford the highest quality food. Okay, why do you want to afford the highest quality food? So that I feel comfortable in my body. So I feel strong. So I have mental clarity. Like, identify the actual things that you want. By claiming it, you're going to make sure that you're actually at the destination of the thing. Because the money is never the means, people. The money is never, money is always the means. It's never the goal. It's never, I want money. Why do you want money? You want money because you want other things. Money is just the thing that provides you the other things. It is the medium. It is the means that will provide you the ends. The claim is the ends. If you focus on the destination, if you focus on where you want to go, then we can actually break down a step-by-step process to get you there. One of those examples means making some money. Got to make some money. It's the resource for this age. Might have been spices. Might have been different types of resources like wood. And there's all different types of currencies in the past. But we're primarily talking about the form of cash money, precious metals, commodities, some virtual money, etc. Once you've done that, your next step is to make sure that you're actually identifying, again, the end goal in such a way that you can achieve that. Extra credit is if you add a little gratitude statement before. So instead of saying, I want to be compassionate, or whatever the case might be, you say, I am compassionate, and add a little, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm compassionate. Make it more specific too than just compassion. I'm grateful that I'm compassionate with my children, with my partner, with my whatever the case might be. Make sure it's present. Make sure it's positive, and make sure it's specific. Okay? Extra credit for I am grateful for, because everything you have in this world is a gift. And if you don't acknowledge that right now, and sit in everything that you have has been a gift from someone else. You might say, well, I don't have any teachers. Well, where'd you get the knowledge? I got it from a book. A dude wrote the book. Someone wrote the book. Like, some human wrote that book. AI wrote the book. A human trained AI. What we're talking about here is that you've learned from someone else. Therefore, you deserve to be grateful, and you ought to be grateful. Once we've done that, then I encourage you to utilize this type of chart to write things out. So write down your wants, write down the claims, and then just keep getting into the specific actual claim that you're looking for there. Now, once you've done that, now that is the foundation of all the work I'm always teaching to everyone at all times. You got to do that work first. Otherwise, what's the purpose of everything else you're doing if you don't have a clear end vision in mind? Once you've done that, I want you to go through these 5 steps one at a time so that we can ultimately, again, live Dharma abundantly. The first step there is know your value. There is not a dollar amount you could put to your value. However, there are ways that you can logically put together a sense of how much to charge and how much you need to be making. The easiest and most simple way to do this is write out all of the things that you want to be, all the things that you want to be cultivating based off your gifts in your life. So that is an example of not only things that you have, whether you have them in full or not, but that could be achievements, that can be accomplishments, and anything that you feel really proud of in terms of yourself. Let's really start to understand your personal value, and then we can look at a dollar amount value that kind of fits, or that does fit and makes sense. So for this exercise, write down an overwhelming list of good qualities, gifts, abilities, credentials, accomplishments, etc. And I want you to be very explicit with this. So in order to do this, be honest with yourself also. Don't worry about putting something if you're like, oh, I don't have this in full. Just put it down. Every gift you have, acknowledge it. It would be unfair to your teachers for you to not acknowledge every little gift that you have, big or small. Ask yourself, what is the form in which I can take what I have been gifted and share it to benefit others' lives? This is an easy way to start to identify what is my Dharma, in other words. What is the form in which I can take what I have been gifted and share it to benefit the lives of others? Start to explore there, write it out, get really clear on it, and again, make sure it's specific and in the positive, okay? Make sure it's specific and in the positive. Once you've done that, then we can get into the second step. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves to. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, rising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. If that didn't land, read it again. Number 2, if you don't make a decision, nothing's going to happen. Once you've figured out this first step, which is, okay, how can I improve the quality of lives of other individuals with my unique gifts? The next step from there is you must be decisive. You must make a plan. The only way something moves is from a decision. Otherwise, you get stuck in analysis paralysis. But what do I do? But how do I, but maybe I do this, but what if I make the wrong move? There is no wrong. You just got to make a decision, do your due diligence, and move in that direction, okay? You don't have to make the perfect decision, because there is no such thing. We just want to make a decision based off the evidence that you can come up with, that's reasonable, that makes sense, that's logical, and we want to take a decision in that direction. So do not entertain these ideas in such a way that you just tease them. Maybe. I want you to be decisive here. You are not going to achieve it unless you're decisive. Let's get more into that. What stories have I convinced myself about why it doesn't work like this? What are my excuses for not making the changes I want to? What are the fears that are keeping me from doing what I want? What if it actually is this simple as making the decision and committing? Ask yourself these questions, go through them, and ask yourself any questions that are coming up for you that you can challenge these limiting beliefs that are stopping you from actually all that out here. If you actually want to experience the sense of purpose and fulfillment and make the difference you're capable of, stop choosing comfort over service. You must want it badly enough to move through the discomfort in order to become successful. This is the difference between pleasing people and serving others, is you're actually willing to do what it takes and move past your own challenges, blocks, and issues in the name of actually serving. Number 3, I want you to say this out loud. Gotta get a guru. Gotta get a guru. Gotta get a guru. You got to get a guru. Gotta get a guru. If you want to learn something, find somebody who's done the thing. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. It's not going to work anyway. You'll fail. We are all standing on the shoulders of giants here. Find a giant, somebody who's done the thing you want to do, and inquire from them submissively. Go to them and ask them, how can I do this? How can I advance in this? How can I learn more? You got to get a guru. If you want to become a great snowboarder, go get a great snowboarding guru, teacher. This is a Sanskrit term for guru. The Sanskrit term guru means teacher. It's actually even in the English dictionary now, which is quite interesting. If you want to be a fantastic lawyer, go learn from a great lawyer. I mean, whatever you want to be great at, find somebody who's great at it. They're going to give you the quickest path to success. From there, we can actually get into qualifying yourself. Now, once you've done this, once you figure out, okay, what is it that according to my gifts, what is it that I want to do? According to the life that I want, according to what I have, what is it that I can actually do? And I can improve the quality of lives of other individuals. And then make the decision. Stop teasing the idea. You go for it. Then you get someone who can help you do it. Say, hey, who's done this before? Find somebody who's done it. Inquire from them submissively in such a way. Please show me what to do. And maybe you reciprocate with them in the form of offering some service. Maybe it's in the form of offering some resources, payments, whatever the case might be. Find a way to get close, get in touch with them, and inquire submissively. Once you've done that, now it's time to actually qualify yourself. What would someone who is successful in this area look like? What would they do? How would they act? What kind of habits do they have? How do they respond to stress, etc.? This is your job to figure out what you need to do to actually qualify yourself to be this person. What needs to be in integrity so that you can actually do this. Do not skip this step, my friends. Otherwise, you will get stuck with imposter syndrome. You will get stuck with all of these other mental blocks that are going to come up for you. But this is how you defend yourself from these types of concerns. Remember, people are not just paying you for the time you spend with them. They're paying you for the time that you've put into the practice that you are now cultivating, how many hours, years, decades you've put into this work. So don't undermine yourself in the name of, anyway, all these mental blocks that are going to come up. We're going to get into some mental blocks with other exercises here. The material world is that place where there is danger at every step. Padum, padum. The idea here is that whatever you're going to do, there's going to be some challenge. There's going to be some fault. There's going to be some issue. But we want to do our due diligence in order to actually move in a direction that we're going to be, well, supported and taken care of. The last step here is to anticipate your stops. In other words, what's going to stop you from being consistent in achieving the things that you want in your life? So you can ask yourself this question: what has come up or may come up that threatens to weaken my determination and resolve? There are going to be things. If you're like, nothing to stop me, you're being silly. Ask yourself what could come up, what will stop you at some point. If you're like, nothing, okay, what about illness? Is that going to come up? Make a list. Like, what are those things that are actually going to stop you from being consistent? And then what we want to do is make a plan and set up systems to safeguard yourself from that. We have different resources called stressors and relievers and other resources we'll get to that show you how to do this. But be diligent. Acknowledge what's going to stop you and make a plan. Make a plan so that when it does come up, you're already prepared. You're like, oh, I know this is going to happen. Therefore, I can plan and prepare myself by X, Y, and Z. And this is going to look different depending on who you are and what exactly it is that you're doing. Now, that's the basics, okay? What about sales? Most spiritualists, holistic wellness folk, we are trained societally, culturally. It's like, oh, sales are gross, slimy. We don't want to be like that used car salesman or whatever the case might be. Good. Don't. Sales have nothing to do with that. Sales means money traveling from one person's hand to another person's hand. That's it. If you want a business, that means you want sales coming in. There is no such thing as a business if there's no such thing as sales. The only way a business is a business is because sales come in. It's just the word for how money comes in your business. Stop bringing your weird connotation into it if you have one. If you don't, no problem. Keep it that way. Sales it's just money coming into your pocket. Go through this here and get familiar with the idea of why sales is something you can do for someone instead of to someone. The idea of you're using sales simply as a tool to charge people so they actually want what you have to give them so that they don't take it for granted. We always value what we spend money on, as well as our time, as well as our attention. People say this, that, or the other about what they value. When people say I value this, that, or the other. I say, show me where you're spending your time, your money, and your attention. That's what you actually value. If you want people to take you seriously, you actually have to charge for your services. I'm not suggesting you can't also give charity. Big fan of charity. At least 10% of every dollar that comes into our account, we give it to charity. We take care of cows. We do a bunch of cool things. Big fan. I'm not suggesting you don't do that, but I am suggesting that in general, you stand for something and you don't just charge for you, but you actually charge for them. You actually charge for the person, so they're actually going to take advantage of the time together. That's what we're talking about in terms of sales. Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place and to a worthy person is considered to be in the mode of goodness. What does the mode of goodness mean? It means a type of lifestyle that's actually going to provide clarity of mind, body, and soul in such a way that you can live in harmony in this world. Like I said, big fan of charity. If you are just trying to hoard all these resources, you are not leaning into the faith that is available to you. If you're like, I just need to hold on to every dollar I have. Money doesn't quite work like that. From the Vedic perspective, money, a name for money is Lakshmi. And another name for Lakshmi is, was a goddess of fortune. Another name for Lakshmi is Chanchala, which means restless, which means money is not meant to sit in one place for a long time. Money is always moving. It's moving from one hand to another consistently. Your job is at least a portion that's coming in. Give it to a source that's deserving. Give it to a source that you can actually, again, not only improve people's lives, the direct people that you're serving, but also people who you can't directly serve. Give it to charity. I like to take care of cows myself. I like to protect cows and Ahimsa farms. That's just my shtick. And I'll happily convince you why you should too if you want to have that conversation. But find some place, person, residence, association, charity that's worth contributing towards, and just do it. And at least take a percentage. I'm a big fan of say at least 10% give. If you're like, oh, Madhu, I don't know how I could do that. No problem. Make it work. You'll make it work. Just do it. I'm telling you, it's worth it 100% of the time. You're going to feel the difference if you're actually giving in charity. The more gratefully we fix our minds on the Supreme when good things come to us, the more good things we will receive, and the more rapidly they will come. And the reason simply is that the mental attitude of gratitude draws the mind into closer touch with the source from which the blessings come. Don't forget about these essentials of conscious business. Working harder does not mean you're going to make more money. It's a fallacy. Otherwise, the person who works 80 hours a week doing a hard job of labor should be the wealthiest person. And the CEO who works a few hours a week should be the poorest. It's just not the truth. You need to be spending your time doing high leverage activities. If you don't know those high leverage activities, no problem. Drop us a note. We'll get you situated with learning tons of high leverage activities. One of those being sales. If you could simply learn the art of sales, you make as much money as you want for the rest of your life. Keep in mind, we're talking about conscious sales, which we call the conscious closing systems. You're never getting manipulative like that car salesman. We're talking about integrity-based model. There's a lot of other catchphrases per se I want you to go through. I want you to read through these. I want you to imbibe these into your life so that they don't crush you at some point. And let's close off with this particular meditation. And I want you to, again, let this idea become, the more you can let this idea be on repeat on the mind per se, the happier you're ultimately going to be, and the more you're going to be able to do your Dharma in such a way that you can live in this world, but ultimately not for this world. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. This is divinity speaking. The idea is if you become divinely conscious, or Krishna conscious, God conscious, higher power conscious, I don't care what vernacular you use, we're talking about the same thing. There's a higher power. You don't believe me? Go spend enough time in the sun. You'll be like, oh, there's definitely higher powers. We're talking about the highest of highest powers. This type of faith is what's going to provide one actual relief. Because if you sincerely surrender, my friends, everything you could possibly imagine is going to be available to you. And everything you actually require and some will be there. Because you are always provided for. You're always taken care of. And this is an opportunity for you to see it. If you'd like some further resources too, feel free to click on the quiz at the bottom of the exercise. You can also just scan the screen on your phone, fill that out, and we can get you some additional resources there. All right, beautiful people. Can't wait to hear how you start to live Dharma abundantly. And as always, whenever you have questions, all you got to do is let us know what we can do to help support you with understanding these more and more. We're sincerely at your service. That's what we're here to do. My only job is to try to give you the resources that my teachers so kindly gifted me so that you too can live a super happy, successful, abundant life.